Hey, y'all, it's Michelle with SLP Full Disclosure, and welcome to the podcast today. We have a recruiter with us, Paige Harles. Paige, thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course. I'm happy to join.
I'm so excited. I know we've had recruiters on the podcast before. My recruiter, Jill, was very kind. She's the one that recommended me for the podcast. So I was like, then you have to be a guest. If you're the one that got me in this position, then you're going to have to join me. So it was wonderful having her on, but we're so excited to have you here. With Jill, we talked really about just a broad overview of how to get started with AMN and what that process looked like. But with Paige, we're going to be talking about more specifics. We're going to be talking about all of the amazing benefits that we have with AMN, but we're also going to be talking about what she does behind the scenes as a recruiter. So, Paige and I met last year in Seattle, Washington at ASHA for the first time, and I was so excited to meet her. And let me just tell you guys, amazing to watch her talk to the people that came and visited our booth, just her elevator pitch, everything. She's so enthusiastic. She is so fun and she is so very knowledgeable. So, Paige, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Michelle. Keep buttering me up. I love it.
I love it. All right. So, before we get started, I want to read you guys just a little bit about Paige. Paige is a senior recruiter with AMN with a focus on school staffing solutions. She's been with AMN for almost 4 years and on the schools team for almost 3. Her primary focus is to staff clinicians in school based settings to help service the students. She has 2 rescue pups. She recently got engaged back in December and is in the midst of wedding planning. She also partners with AMN's Allied training team as well as Allied marketing team. She describes herself as very type A, and so she typically staffs SLPs, CFs, and SLPAs due to similar personality types. And Paige, you could not have nailed that anymore. I've always said SLPs are a very different breed. We are very, type A,
Mhm.
checking things off, writing things down. So thank you so much for joining us. So before we get started, tell us just a little bit about yourself, how you got to be a recruiter with AMN, and just kind of what you do in general.
Yeah. So I graduated with my bachelor's degree December of 2019. I was in the midst of, the pandemic when everything kind of hit. My minor was in sales and like marketing focus. So I tried like a B2B sales role. I quickly realized like the sales role of like selling actual items was just not for me. Um, I did have a friend that was a recruiter. She did like tech recruiting. And she just mentioned, like I was very personable, like I love to help people. And so maybe like recruiting would also kind of allow me to kind of go down that avenue of still being incentive based, but more so people focused. So I initially started with AMN's international division, where we would staff international nurses, bring them into the US. They would get their green card and work at hospitals all across the US.
Oh, wow.
I Yeah, no, it was really, really cool. My major in undergrad was political science. So I did like a lot of international relations courses. So it was
Mhm.
nice to kind of like utilize some of those skills I learned in those classes.
Very interesting. I did not know
Yeah.
that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was nice. I got to work a nice 7 to 3 schedule. So getting to wake up early, I'm an early riser. So it definitely worked out well for me. But yeah, so I just kind of wanted more advancement. I love AMN. I am such an advocate for AMN all
I
across the
am too.
board.
I am too. I love it. It is
Yeah.
the best job that I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah. So yeah, we have this mentorship program for internal employees called AMP, and I registered as a mentee, and I was looking for a mentor, and I actually got connected with my now manager as my mentor to start with. She kind of told me what she did with the schools team. It sounded really interesting. At that point, I was looking for more advancement, and their team was hiring, so I made the jump almost 3 years ago, and I've been here ever since. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
What's
what's
your
your
favorite
favorite
thing
thing?
about your job?
Honestly, just getting, like, to connect with people. I love being able to chat with people on, like, a day-to-day basis, but I find it really, really special once we're kind of able to turn that professional talk off and just kinda get more personal and, like, build that individual rapport and being able to kinda circle back with clinicians on a personal basis. Like, I had a clinician that had a dog with some health issues, so just being able to, like, touch base on those really just specifics about them because at the end of the day, like, I'm working with them for 40 weeks at a time. So
Good.
I feel like you being able to connect on that personal level is really important. I love it.
So you do build those friendships. You
Yeah.
build those friendships outside of work.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. So, as a recruiter, your primary job is to connect candidates with jobs specifically in the school setting. Where do you start with that? What is your first point of contact? How are you making contact with candidates?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have so many different avenues. I'm a part of a couple of different specific teams. So, I am on our LinkedIn team. So, I'll message people via LinkedIn. We have another resource called Vetted Health. So, I'll message them via Vetted. We have our internal system that we can use to make outbound communication. So, calls, texts, emails. And then I'm sure you're in, there's a surplus of therapy Facebook groups as well. So,
Yes.
we can post jobs in there, answer any questions, anything like that. And then once we're able to kind of touch base and I'm able to get that resume, after that point, I'm able to get them apped into our system. So then once they're able to have a file built out, that's when we kind of work on starting the job hunt, looking for those specific locations. And then it just kind of builds up from there. And once we're able to find a good fit, we can submit them out and then hopefully get an interview locked in. And then, as you know, get on assignment.
Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you find that you're getting more candidates that are younger, like your CFs and your new grads, or is there a big pull from my age group, my demographic, my 50 plus age group? What is the biggest draw? Are you seeing more young people or seasoned SLPs making that transition?
I know some recruiters that typically work with just Gen X or sometimes like the elder millennials. I personally work with like the younger millennials, the Gen Zs that are getting into the workforce who are really interested in travel. I feel like maybe it's just like our similar personalities that kind of help us connect. But I personally feel like I definitely find more of the younger folk that are interested in travel.
Yeah. What is their biggest not really question, but do they express any concerns or fears, misconceptions? What do you think the biggest misconception is working with an agency like AMN?
I honestly feel like the biggest misconception is just being in an unknown location away from a lot of family and friends. That
Mhm.
obviously is a huge setback. And some people see travel as like a great opportunity to get out there, but then some people just see it as like a big question mark of like an unknown. And being able to kind of reassure somebody like, yes, it can be a little scary, but there are great networking opportunities. And if they are a new grad, we have a new grad program that can help like get them connected with fellow travelers. And, there's even apps that help connect people to just meet up and hang out. So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I know my recruiter, Jill, put me in contact with a friend of mine that I'm still friends with to this day when I made that transition from my contract in Baltimore and went virtual. She and I have vacationed together. I mean, it is just, it's a great friendship and a great relationship that I never thought would have happened working virtually.
Yeah.
And, we've talked about that before. Where do people mostly reach out to you? Is it mostly Indeed, or are you getting, Facebook groups? Like, where do people reach out to you from the most?
Mine are mainly from LinkedIn. I am very I have a very, very large LinkedIn presence. I love LinkedIn. If I could pick one social media platform, it would definitely be like a tie between LinkedIn and TikTok, which they are so different. But I feel like LinkedIn is definitely where I get most of my clinicians from. That are honestly just our internal system where clinicians have already been opted in at some point and they've just been like in our data pool.
Okay. I did not know. I learned something new. I didn't know that LinkedIn was considered social media. I just
Yeah.
got a LinkedIn just like a couple of years ago.
Oh
I
my
had
gosh,
no
Marcel, add
idea.
me.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. So LinkedIn is considered social media?
Yeah.
Had no idea. Look at there. That just shows how old I am. Okay. So let's talk about some specifics with AMN.
Mhm.
I think my favorite thing in the world is the Passport app.
Okay.
I use it for everything. And as you know, a couple of months ago, a month or so ago, there were some unforeseen circumstances, and I found myself searching for a new assignment. And I literally had that app open. I had that tab open on my computer
Refreshing.
all day long, just refreshing, refreshing, refreshing. Tell our listeners about Passport, what it is, and what it can do for you, because I can tell you it's my favorite thing.
No, Passport is amazing. It's like a one-stop shop for literally
It
everything
it
for
is.
contracts. Like, you think of it, it's on that app. You can get connected with a recruiter. You
Mhm.
can get in touch with your clinical manager. You can upload all of your documents, so all of your credentials. You can also look for travel assignments or local assignments or teletherapy assignments. I mean, it
Mhm.
literally has everything. And you can even, as a recruiter, we can upload like our recruiter recommendations
Mhm.
of like, hey, we recommend XYZ assignment for you. And they have other, I think they have other things on there as well where you can also get connected with other travelers. And then I think they also have like clinician spotlights as well,
They
where they
do.
spotlight different clinicians and what they're doing on their assignment.
So you do not have to work for AMN to access the Passport app,
Yep.
and I think that's a big misconception. Anyone can go on Passport.
Yep.
And I know for me, at working for AMN and my new assignment, I checked it this morning to see what all, just to check the dates of everything that has to be done. That's where I reach out to my credentialing specialist,
Mhm.
my recruiter. If you're traveling, that's where all the housing, reimbursement,
Yeah.
everything is right there in that one place. And you can access it on your desktop, and you can also get an app when I have the app on my phone. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some more amazing benefits with AMN. Um, I think that one thing that I'm seeing on some of the pages that I'm involved in, questions that I get from fellow SLPs, friends of mine, are that working for a contract company has to be a 1099 contract. So that is one thing special with AMN is it is not a 1099 contract, and a lot of contracting companies are. So with that, let's talk about some specific benefits that we offer through AMN.
We are a W-2 company. So like you mentioned, we are not 1099, which I feel like I know some people do like 1099. I feel like it's a blessing that we are not.
Yes, I do too. I've worked on a 1099 before, and it is not
I have
fun.
also worked on a 1099 and I did not realize I was in college. I did not realize what 1099 was until
Right.
tax season rolled around. So that was a surprise.
Yes.
So the fact that, you already get like those taxes taken out, I feel like is a blessing. Of course,
Mhm.
you still have to do your taxes, but
Yeah.
not having to put that extra money aside is really, really great. We pay for both direct and indirect services, as you know, as a teletherapist. Sometimes contracts are not. Sometimes they pay you different rates for both direct and indirect services. But with
Mhm.
AMN, we give you one flat rate for if you're on a teletherapy contract. That's obviously another plus because sometimes you see a really pretty number and
Yeah.
that number is not accurate. So
Right.
to be able to have just a one set hourly rate for both those direct and indirect services, I feel like is really great, especially as somebody who I've mentioned is type A, being able to kind of have a good understanding of what your paycheck's going to look like
Right.
week over week is
Week to
nice.
week. Yeah. That's amazing.
And then, of course, on top of that, we have all different types of contracts, travel contracts, local contracts, tele contracts. A lot of times when people see a contract agency, they just assume it's a travel contract and you have to go somewhere for it. That's not the case. You can literally work 5 miles down the road and still be on a contract, which is
Mhm.
nice because especially if it's like a district you aren't familiar with and you don't
Mhm.
want to get into a permanent contract, it's nice to be able to test the waters out. And that way, if you do want to end up rebooking or working the SY, you do have that availability too as well.
So we've talked about the pay structure. What about benefits as far as 401k, insurance, those kinds of things?
Yeah, so we have health, vision, dental, whole 9 yards, all across the US. Most of it is Blue Cross Blue Shield. We do also have Kaiser in some specific areas. For dental, I believe it's Cigna, and
Mhm.
then for your vision, I think it is VSP. I think that's the
That's
provider
correct.
for it. I personally have all 3. I think
Yes,
it's
I do
great.
too.
I love
Yeah.
it. We also offer, HSAs, your health savings account.
Yep.
Um, and then, of course, if you need to add people onto your insurance plan as well, you can do so. And then we also have those voluntary benefits. So we offer basic life insurance, short term disability, FSA, different things for like critical illnesses, legal assistance.
I
We
think
also
there's a cancer one as well.
so many, yes. Like
Yeah.
you think of it, critical illness, you got it. We
Yeah.
we offer all of it. So we also have the employee assistance program via support link. So that essentially will allow you to have up to 8 sessions of different topics. And that also, I mean, support link within itself supplies you with ample opportunity. If you think of anything that may be hindering your ability to work, you could literally call support link and get their support. They help with everything. They can help research things for you. If you need a daycare provider, they can help look it up for you. If you need to talk to somebody about literally anything, you can talk to somebody.
Wow, I
So,
did not know that. So when I think of EAP, I just think of, if you need counseling or you're going through a
yeah.
tough time at home, a divorce, family changes, anything like that, death in the family, that's what I think of.
Yeah.
But they can even research things like daycares. I did not know
Yeah.
that.
No, literally anything that's causing you any ample stress, they can help with, like planning events, literally anything. So it's a great resource. I personally used it. We also have support link on the like corporate side of AMN, and I've
Mhm.
used it before just because, as you've mentioned, I'm in the midst of wedding planning and working full time and also getting my
Mhm.
master's. So there's just
Yes.
stressors,
There's a lot.
and
Yeah.
that's okay. So yeah, it's a really, really great resource to use. And then also we have our 401k plan as well. AMN does match 25% up to the first 6% of contribution. So
And I
right.
think all of those things that you and I just talked about from the pay structure, 1099 versus W-2, the 401k, your benefits. I think that that's something that the younger generation is not coming out of school
No.
understanding. I saw a meme the other day and it said, "Why do you not know how to do your taxes?" And it said, "First of all, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell." So it's like they don't understand. I know my daughter is the same way. She was doing her taxes. She's going to kill me when I tell this story. She was doing her taxes the very first time 3 years ago after she got her job. And she called me and she said, "Do I have any dependents?" And I was like, "No, you don't have any dependents." It's things like that.
Yeah.
And it can be very, very confusing and
Yeah.
confusing. And with AMN, the recruiter is not going to help you with those type of things because we also have benefit specialists and we have
Mhm.
credentialing specialists. I know one of the biggest things that I see on that the clinical fellow Facebook page is about licensing. So let's
Yes.
talk about that. So let's talk about the what the credentialing specialist does. So when do you as a recruiter, for lack of a better term, when do you tap out and say, "Okay, I've gotten you your assignment, you're on." Do you assign the new SLP to the credentialing team, or is it something that is just kind of just bulk everybody, we've got to get this person assigned a credentialing specialist, all this stuff. How does that work?
Well, first of all, I never tap out. I am always CC'd. I am always like at least bird's eye view to ensure that everything is on track. So if there are any licensing delays or whatnot, like I have eyes on it because obviously if I can prevent something from whatever side, because obviously with
Mhm.
licensing, there's a thousand curveballs. You're working with
Yeah.
the state. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I always like personally, as mentioned, I'm type A. So I always
And
uh
SLPs appreciate that, I know.
yeah.
And my
I'm a
recruiter's the same way. She's kind of like, I feel like the recruiter's kind of the person that steers the ship.
yeah. Yeah, we definitely keep it on track for sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely the goal. But as for licensing and credentialing, pretty much with every single setting, whether that be school or medical, there is a licensing specialist and a credentialing specialist that are already pretty much assigned.
Okay.
So they're already like assigned to that specific district or facility. So that way, whenever we move it into to our status as like traveler accepts, credentialing and licensing is already pretty much on it at that point because they
Mhm.
get triggered on their side internally to be like, oh, we need to start working on XYZ. Now, prior to them accepting, we do let our licensing and credentialing team know, hey, they are not licensed in this state yet. That way, once they do move to that acceptance status, we are like rocking and rolling. And we do have internal resources as well that allow the recruiters to see like expectations for like licensing timeframes. That way, we have more realistic expectations to then relay with the travelers. Hey, this license can take up to 10 weeks. Let's
Yeah.
prepare for a later start date.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people just don't think that. They think, oh, well, I have a license in this state. So
Mhm.
I'm assuming it'll be fine for this other
And
state. And I'm like,
it
well,
is
in
not
every case, it
always
is
yeah, it is not
unfortunately.
fine. I can tell you
Yeah.
California took me forever to get
Oh,
licensed in.
yeah, the
It took
CTC,
forever.
not fun.
And then when I got my license in Maryland, it was just
Easy
super
breezy.
easy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
filled out an application, I submitted my home state license, my ASHA certification, and I think it was just a couple of weeks. And
Yeah.
it was months and
Yes.
months for
Yep.
California. Then on top of that, the CTC credentialing, which
It is
we
a
won't
whole
even
nother
get into that.
beast.
That's a whole nother thing. So we've talked about a lot so far. Let's talk about the travel stipends. Do you
Yeah.
have any information on the travel stipends?
So then
Because
you
I know
vary.
that's always big, and I don't know if we wanna get too detailed into the pay structure when you're a traveler versus when you're not a traveler, you're on a local contract, or you think we should leave that for another day? As far as the housing and the meal stipends and how that stipend works. Maybe you can cover that in the stipend question.
Yeah. So pretty much when it comes to like travel pay packages, they're broken up into, you get your one tax hourly rate. As a recruiter, we try to make that as low as possible because that's the only thing you're getting taxed on. Those
Mhm,
other two items, your housing and like meal allowances, those are non-taxed. And we also offer a cell phone stipend as well, and that's also non-taxed. So all three of those together combine your non-tax income. So we try to maximize those like that portion to ensure that you are walking away with like the most netted possibly. And that's obviously a huge incentive as to why people like travel contracts
mhm.
because the
Yeah,
non-tax
I loved
stipends.
it. It was great. It made a
It's
big
crazy.
difference. I promise it made a big difference.
No, it's crazy. But as in regards to how we get those specific numbers, we have a set like federal rate per the zip code as to what we can legally give before getting
Mhm,
taxed. So we try to get as
mhm.
close to that maximum amount as possible for you, obviously, in order to get you as much possible. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's great. So we've talked about that. We've talked about the employee assistance program. We've talked about credentialing and licensing. Let's talk about the AMN referral program.
Oh my gosh.
I've actually made my first referral and I'm
Oh
so
my gosh,
excited.
Michelle, congratulations.
Yes. I'm always trying to recruit people too, like
Yeah.
always.
Yep.
Because I just, especially my friends back in Alabama that are still in the school district, I'm like, you don't know what you're missing. Like you have no idea how
Yep.
amazing this job is. So
No.
let's talk about the referral program.
Yeah, no, our referrals are great. Basically, they range from $1,000 to $2,000. For SLPs, school nurses, and school psychs, it's $2,000 per referral. Now they do have to work 13 weeks before you, as the referrer, get
Hmm.
that money. However,
Right.
once they do complete those 13 weeks on assignment, you then get that money. And you can continue to to refer as many people as you or really want. We have some clinicians that constantly refer people. And that's just their second stream of income at this point because they've referred so many people.
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
go up to the university
yeah,
and, like, set up a booth, like, get me an
yeah,
AMN sign and just like, "Hey."
yeah. Let Jill know. I'm sure she'll give you some flyers to pass out.
I'm sure she would. Yeah, that's great. How many referrals what's the most number of referrals one person has ever had? Do you know off the top of
I
your
do
head?
not know, but I'm telling you, we have one of our top recruiters on the medical side. She has one clinician that does not work with us. Like she's not honest because you don't have to be on assignment in order to get like to get the referral check. You can just refer anybody. So like even if you weren't working with us, you could still refer somebody and get the money from it.
So, my daughter could refer her school SLP to
Yep.
my recruiter, and then my daughter would get that referral bonus.
Yep.
No way.
Yep. So
That's
start putting
crazy.
money aside for college. You've
Yes.
got to keep it up.
Yes, she does.
Yeah. So I don't know the exact number, but it's enough for a second stream of like income at this point for her. So
Wow. That's
yeah.
crazy. I love that. Alright. And again, I love AMN, so I'm always telling people about it. Let's talk about the specific supports that SLPs specifically get through AMN, and specifically that clinical fellowship year, because I know you have a lot of CFYs, right?
I love my CF. Yeah. We all have a really, really great rapport and I love working with them. And especially when they continue after like years on years, I think it's great. But when it comes to support, obviously for your CFY, you need a supervisor. Those are just two and the same. You need them.
Yep.
So as a CF with AMN, we will find your supervisor for you. Our first top preference is somebody that works directly at the district. That is our
Mhm,
number one go to because they are permanent with them. They know the ins and outs of the system, they know the district. If for some reason we aren't able to find somebody at the district that can supervise, we then try to find an SLP at that district that works with AMN in order to get them to supervise. That way they're on assignment with us. They're already
mhm,
credentialed through AMN because as a supervisor, you still get additional pay.
mhm.
So that is something that we do as like a second choice. And then if all else fails, we will find somebody within like a local radius that you can still meet up with in person a couple times a month to get those in-person sessions with them. But one way or another, we will find somebody for your assignment.
And I know that's been another one of the really big questions that I've seen on that SLP Facebook page
Yeah.
is the clinical fellow mentor and not being able to find supervisors, changing supervisors and that sort of thing during your clinical fellowship year, which happens and it's
Yeah.
very common.
Yeah.
Another thing with AMN that, I absolutely love, and I just recently received my letter from ASHA that I had completed all of my continuing education for this cycle, and it was the grandest day ever. Not clinical, continuing education.
Mhm.
Let's talk about the opportunities for CEUs as an AMN employee.
Yeah. So we will offer unlimited CEUs through MedBridge for all SLPs, OTs, and PTs. So while you're on assignment, your recruiter will essentially have to re enroll you every quarter because obviously CEUs cost money and their company, like we as a company are paying for them. So we just want to
Mhm.
ensure before we're just keeping you on a rolling track that we will continue to re enroll you. That way you are utilizing them. Otherwise, it's just a wasted account. Um,
That makes so much sense because I just had to get re-enrolled because I needed, like, I
yeah,
don't know, maybe 6 more to complete
yeah,
my 30, and I went to log in, and I have an app because 'cause I'm old and I can never remember my passwords, and I was like, "Wait, that is my password," but I had to
mm,
get re-enrolled, so that makes sense why I
yep,
had to do that.
yep. So every quarter, you have to get
Okay.
re-enrolled, which is fine. Me being extremely type A, I just send an Outlook reminder to send all of my travelers on assignment. Like, hey, re-enrollment time for CEUs. Do you want them?
Yes, and I
Yeah,
promise you we do.
yeah,
They all do. We all want them.
yeah, yeah. And a lot of people love MedBridge, so that makes me extremely happy to hear.
I do like MedBridge.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of my CEUs through them, and I really do like it. It's been
Mhm.
very beneficial.
Yeah.
And it's super easy to access too, because I can
Yeah.
just, sit in the bed and turn it on and watch it and learn,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
what SLPs love to do is learn, learn, learn.
Yeah.
All right. Gosh, Paige, we've talked about so much. You have been so informative. You know so much. And I'm telling you, if you guys ever get a chance to meet Paige in person, you need to just go and sit and listen to her as she is talking to these SLPs and just talking about AMN. Just so energetic, but just so knowledgeable. And you are so personable. And it has been great having you on the podcast today. So, I always ask my guests what is one piece of advice that they would give to SLPs who are considering a contract with AMN, whether it be a local contract, a travel contract, or a teletherapy contract. What is your advice as a recruiter working with very type A SLPs all the time?
I would say 2 points of advice. 1, be transparent. As your recruiter, we will always be transparent with you, and we love when clinicians, like, return the transparency and just let us know because we get it. At the end of the day, you're looking for a job, and regardless if it's with us or not, we just wanna make sure you find the right fit for it. So, if you let us know, like, "Hey, I am interviewing elsewhere," I totally get it. If I was in your shoes, I would be too. So
Right.
it's totally fine, but just let me know. That way we can just ensure, like, if you did interview with us, we can push a little bit harder for an offer. And then one other piece of advice is to be okay with a couple different plans, especially on those travel contracts. Things don't always pan out the way you want them to be, like just the way you want them. So being able to understand and accept that you may have to look at plan B sometimes helps out a lot. Or just being able to understand, like, hey, I do need to have a backup plan. I can't
Right.
hold out for one specific thing.
Yeah. And I had to go to a plan B recently, as you
Yeah.
know. So, and, just because things happen that are outside of anyone's control. I mean, it
Mhm.
was outside of AMN's control, it was outside of my control, and
Yeah,
it just happened. But I can tell you this, my recruiter, Jill, if you're listening, you were amazing.
I love
Thank you
Jill.
so much from the bottom of my heart because she was probably the only person I talked to for about 2 weeks because I was very stressed, but
Yeah,
she made it all better and she supported me 100%, and I knew for a fact that she was working for me,
yeah,
and it all worked out for the best.
yeah.
So,
Jill's amazing, and I'm so glad that she's your recruiter because she is
yeah.
one of the best.
Well, and you are too, Paige. So
Thank you.
thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Guys, if you're listening to this podcast and you have any questions about anything that we talked about today, go to Passport app, reach out to a recruiter. Paige, Jill, any of them will be able to answer your questions for you guys. So, Paige, thanks again for joining us. It has been amazing. I've learned some things today, which is always great. So, you guys have a wonderful day, and we hope that we will talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Thank you for tuning in to SLP Full Disclosure. You can learn more about this episode and our show on our website at amnhealthcare.com. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform. You can also find show updates and SLP opportunities on our Instagram at AMN Allied. Special thanks to AMN Healthcare for making this show possible. See y'all next time.